This weekend, Washington, D.C. hosts the final Saturday night's main event of the year, and more importantly, the final match of John Cena's wrestling career. So let's talk about it. Yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we're getting straight into this. Today, obviously, is my Saturday night's main event predictions. It's day 11 of Daily December. And there's only a couple days left of John Cena's wrestling career. There's only one match left of that career, and that's against the Ring General, if you will, Gunther. Gunther won the last time his now tournament, earning the right to face John Cena in his final ever match. He defeated LA Knight in the final to punch that ticket before LA Knight was written off of TV, but that's a story for another day. Hopefully he's not gone. Hopefully he gets a push at some point. But yeah, here we have it. Some people seemed a bit disappointed with Gunther, which I don't understand why, because he's one of the best wrestlers on the planet and especially on the WWE roster. It's pretty baffling to me how people have seemingly lowered their expectations of Gunther from I don't know when. I mean, what has he done in the last few years? The best, probably, Intercontinental Championship reign of all time, longest reign of all time. A world heavyweight title reign that wasn't great, but it was stunted by guys like Jey Uso and not actually leaning into what he did so well in his Intercontinental title reign, which was defending it. He got the second reign, lost it to Punk, retired Goldberg. He's been gone since, but he is more than worthy of John Cena's final match. I don't think you could have argued this, and I don't think people would have argued this if they said that at the start of the year. It was right there in front of the WWE creative team, and I'm fairly sure that that's where they were going with things until some dickhead suggested Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble, which changed everything. Punk could have and was seeming likely to win the Royal Rumble, which had huge permutations on WrestleMania and the WrestleMania card and main event that year. We could have seen Punk versus Gunther, but I feel like Punk versus Cody was the original plan. Cena would still win in Elimination Chamber, but go on to face Gunther instead. And we would have had this match at WrestleMania. John Cena likely would have won to win the never seen 17th World Championship, become the record holding 17-time champion, and no one would have had a problem with that. Gunther was worthy of John Cena's last WrestleMania match. He's worthy of his last match ever, in my opinion. It might seem a bit different now because chances are Gunther's going to win, and that's the way I see it going. That's my prediction. Gunther will win on Saturday night's main event. I've seen some people say John Cena could tap because it's something that John Cena doesn't do. He's not going to tap out in his last ever match, surely to God. I mean, I said he was never going to turn heel in his last ever year, but they proved me wrong for that. But was that the right decision? I don't know. Personally, I think Gunther beats him, and I think that's okay. Gunther can be that massive, dominant heel, the dominant force in WWE that he should be, because he is one of the best on the roster. I know he's not in the world title picture right now. He could have been Intercontinental Champion if they kept it on Cena, but I get why they had Dom win, and that was my prediction back then as well. If you really want to go back and watch the predictions for Survivor Series, I suppose you can watch that, or my reactions to Survivor Series. Maybe you've been out of the game for a little bit, you're trying to catch up. I suppose I'll leave the pay-per-view predictions and reaction things up here at some point or on the end screen. But yeah, they could have had Gunther win it and be Intercontinental Champion again here. He would be a two-time World Heavyweight and two-time Intercontinental Champion with that. But I don't think they needed Cena to be the IC Champion in here because it's already his final match. That's huge. but I think he's gonna go out looking at the lights. He's gonna go out and give back to the future of the WWE and the future of wrestling. And that is what this event was set out to be. Because yes, I have predicted that Gunther beats John Cena, but originally that could have been it. You know, there might have been some other matches. I don't know, obviously, what it'd just be purely speculating, but it seemed like what the WWE wanted, or what TKO wanted, or whatever, was basically a John Cena celebration, which is the least John Cena thing you could probably do. Obviously, a lot of people would have loved it and stuff like that, but that's not what John Cena wanted, and I don't think that's a very John Cena thing to do. Obviously, his sort of whole thing over the last couple of years has been giving back to the younger generation, and he's doing exactly that because what he wanted was the new generation stars to face off against the stars of today, which is what you will see in the other three matches. So we'll clear these guys out of the ring, all my five Cenas. Because I wanted to talk about that first, just so I speak about enough of what I want to talk about before cutting it short, because of I want to talk about the other matches. But if you want to hear more about John Cena, if you're reflecting on the year he's had, then I will leave my fantasy booking of John Cena up there, which, in my opinion, probably better than what we got. The heel turn, I just wasn't the heel turn was fantastic. The heel run, not so much. But yeah, I'm going to be talking plenty about John Cena over the coming days, because obviously I'll be doing my reactions to Saturday night's main event itself, probably Sunday morning to afternoon, and then I'll talk about John Cena's final year as a whole, probably sometime before or closely following the turn of the year. So that's that. Three other matches. There's two of them right there. Well, not two of them, to be fair, because Jimmy and Jey Uso are not on the card, but we'll talk about that in a moment. The first one is Sol Ruka versus Bayley, which I think is a very interesting match. Obviously, Bayley is a long-standing member of the WWE roster. She's a veteran. You know, she's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I would say she's a top class performer, and she's just a class act in general. She seems like a good soldier, which is obviously a good thing in some ways and not in others. You know, John Cena is one of those that the McMahons sort of molded into the perfect soldier. You know, he doesn't want to step out of line and all of this, which has made him the person he is. So I suppose you wouldn't change it, but I don't know if it's always the best way to be, you know, because only looking back a few months, you know, Bailey was set to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. Am I right? I'm no, I'm talking shit. Sorry. She was set to be with Lyra Valkyria to face the women's tag team champions, which Liv Morgan and Raquel. Yeah, that was it, right? So, or they were defending it. I can't remember who the belts were on, but she was set to be in that. And then the day, was it the day of or the day before WrestleMania? She's taken out. Becky Lynch is back in. Becky Lynch returns, takes Bayley's spot. Bayley was not injured. Bayley could have been in that match. And yes, it led to a pretty great feud with Bayley and Lyra and Becky and all that. But she got her WrestleMania moment stolen the day before or even the day of, which is very Vince McMahon-esque thing to do. And you know, we're not starting to see. I think it's been pretty evident that TKO isn't everything, and Triple H so far hasn't been everything he's been built up to be and was expected to be, especially after his last year. Seems to be getting to him a bit. Maybe the pressure, the lights are too bright. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, terrific gate. On this show, biggest arena gate of all time. No one cares, mate. That just means you're ripping off the fans more, doesn't it? Give us good matches and storylines there. But yeah, Sol Ruka's one of the brightest stars in the women's division. I think she's one of the she's a WrestleMania main eventer in my opinion. I don't know about the charisma wise. I've never heard her on the mic to be honest very much, but in the ring she's pretty fantastic. Her finisher is just crazy. If you've never seen it, go on YouTube after you finish this video, of course. Just type in Soul Snatcher, SOL Snatcher, crazy finishing move. Obviously, you hope that that doesn't get in the way of her longevity, doing stuff like that. Hopefully it doesn't, but I think this will catapult her forward, and I don't know if I don't know if she'll go to the main roster after this, but I see Solruka beating Bailey because, as I said, Bailey's a good soldier. I feel like I don't want to call her the female Miz, but I feel like that's the sort of role she's in. She could be so much higher up the card. You know, she's sort of the jack of all trades. She could have main evented WrestleMania 40 in my opinion with Io Sky. Pretty great match, and it was probably the hottest storyline going into it until they sort of just took them off of TV to build the bloodline stuff up a bit more, which didn't really sit right with me. But yeah, so I've got John Cena getting beat by Gunther and Sol Ruka beating Bailey. Now on to the final two matches. AJ Styles versus Dragon Lee, affectionately known as AJ Lee, will take on Javon Evans and Leon Slater, two guys that have fought each other in the not so distant past. Now team up to face those two men. You also have Jimmy and Jay sort of in the fray because they just announced that the Usos are back. So we don't know where that's going, but to be honest, I feel like the veterans need to win one, and I think that Dragon Lee and AJ Styles are going to win this. They're going to retain just a bit too early for Javon and Leon Slater. I think they'll stay. They'll stay where they are for now. Javon has more to do in NXT. Is Leon Slater in TNA? I thought he was. Maybe he's in NXT. Maybe everyone's just on NXT and TNA at the minute. But yeah, so we'll take those out. I don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy and Jay. I feel like Jay's going to turn heel at some point. I don't want to see that match again though, because the first time was just horrific, wasn't it? Let's be serious. One of the worst matches probably to ever be on a WrestleMania. I was originally just going to say one of the worst matches I've ever seen, but I toned it down. Probably not really fair to tone it down because it was just absolute bullshit. But we get on to maybe the match I'm most excited for, actually. I know, obviously, Cena versus Gunther's a big thing, but it might be kicking off the show, which would be a terrible idea if they're going to do that. But anyway, Obafemi, the ruler and NXT champion, just beat Ricky Saints, which I think surprised a few people because Ricky Saints versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is winning that every day of the week. Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes. I want Obafemi to win. Honestly, I think he should. Who else does Cody have to face, really? Drew, he's beat Drew, you know. Kevin's not around. Randy has just done fuck all for ages. His last sighting was doing a YouTube video with Speed. So who knows what's going on with Randy if we're ever going to get that match. Oba now being NXT champion is sort of puts a bit of a hurdle in the way, but I think he should beat him. Whether or not I think he will beat him, I'm not sure. I think you've got to protect your world champion, right? I'm gonna predict, gonna be conservative here. Cody Rhodes is gonna win, but I absolutely think, 100%, wholeheartedly believe that Obafemi could and should win here because it wouldn't be undermining because it's not undermining to lose to a beast like that, you know. I get that losing while you're the top guy, you're the WWE champion, that's not a great look, but to be honest, who cares? Oba should beat Cody, in my honest opinion, but I don't think he will. So I think Gunther's beating Cena, Cody is beating Obafemi. What are the other matches? AJ Lee are gonna successfully retain their titles against Javon and Leon Slater, and then Sol Ruka is gonna get her win over Bailey. So I've got one of the NXT stars winning over Bailey. The other two, I don't think are gonna win, but I think nothing wrong with it if they did. And then, of course, Gunther beating Cena in his final ever match. Probably probably pass out in the sleeper. I don't see him tapping out because never give up. Tap out in your final match, really. Yeah, I think he's gonna pass out. He'll probably get up. Take a while to get up, and then speech, people come out, and all that good stuff. Hopefully, he doesn't get cut off like Goldberg. But John Cena doesn't actually deserve to get cut off. That old prick probably does. So yeah, that is my Saturday night's main event predictions. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy the show if you choose to watch it, even with all the shitty ads. Apparently, it's got no scheduled runtime. They can go for as long as they want, which John Cena deserves that, really. Probably deserved it to be in his hometown as well, but Boston, Massachusetts didn't want to pay the money, and that's what's most important to the WWE and TKO these days. So there you have it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, leave a like, hype the video, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications on. Just do a bit of everything, to be honest. Go watch all of the rest of my videos in chronological order. Should only take you a week. If you did nothing else for a solid week, I think you could probably get through it. And that's all from me for today. So I hope you enjoying Daily December so far. We're 11 days in, 20 to go. So hopefully I'll see you for day 12. That's tomorrow. I'll see you later. Goodbye.